Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and this is James Ramos from At the Quarter Pole, and here are my early possible entries for the 2026 Saudi Cup to be run by the end of February. And this presentation was brought in by the Horse Racing Nation. So I'd like to go over the field with you, ladies and gentlemen. And the first horse that comes out is Magnitude, owned by the Winchell Stables, and this horse best race was second behind by Aza in the Pennsylvania Derby, and he closed on that race. Normally shows a knack ability to be up front, but honestly, ladies and gentlemen, this horse is about two classes below this field that he's going to run against in the Saudi Cup. I'll give you my morning line odds, how I would place these horses later after I give you my spill about all the entries. But I can use them. I think the distance of the question is a mile and 1/8, especially with top competition. On to the second horse would be Rattle and Roll. Now, Rattle and Roll is going to take a crack at a mile and 1/8 at the Saudi Cup. He was supposed to, it was about a 50-50 chance of him running at the Pegasus Cup that was run at the Gulfstream Park on the 24th. They skipped that race and had him pointing for this race. And he is my second choice that I like for an upset in the exact, maybe even win, but he's my second choice right now. I'll give you my first choice once I run down the field. The other horse looking in is Luxor Cafe, the Japanese horse that ran in the 2025 Kentucky Derby, and I think he's a little bit weak. He's not like his country mate is Forever Young, having that kind of class and tough and ability. And honestly, he's a big question mark. They're sending him to Saudi. He didn't do that well in the Kentucky Derby. He might like it better with the more sand-based tracks out in Saudi, but I can't give him a look in this race. I think he just overmatched, completely overmatched. No, ladies and gentlemen, but he is overmatched in this race. Next horse is a horse I like as my number one pick. Believe it or not, journalism is pointing for this race by Michael McCarthy. Now, he showed a good run at the Breeders' Cup Classic, fourth behind Forever Young, Fierceness, and Sierra Leone. I think he's going to get fair value, might even be better than fair value. This is a horse I like. He was the second best 3-year-old last year in the United States behind Sovereignty. And I believe the mile 1/8 will be out of the chute. And it won't be a true turn race. It'll be out of a chute a mile 1/8. And this better suits this horse. I like him for the upset to beat this field. And he should go up, in my opinion. Next horse will be Forever Young. And I love Forever Young for his accomplishments. I think, though, the coming over the Saudi Cup and the way their connection said that they're going to go to the Saudi Cup, then the Dubai World Cup, will freshen them out, have one race in Japan and bring them up to Keeneland. I think it's just a lot of miles. And I love the horse. They did it last year, but he's a year older now. He's a 5-year-old, and this could be taxing on the legs, especially when Sovereignty is waiting in the United States and biding his time where he doesn't have to ship. And I think this might be his undoing. He doesn't really need this race or win in the end. I think he'll win. My opinion, he'll win the prep in Japan for the race to get him into the Breeders' Cup Classic 2026 at Keeneland Park. Next horse is the Warrior, Romantic Warrior. And I have doubts if the connections are going to send Romantic Warrior again at the Saudi Cup. He ran 115% all out last year's Saudi Cup and still got nailed by a head by Forever Young. And Romantic Warrior ran a race and a half to win that race. He was up by three lengths in deep stretch and still got nailed at the wire. Now, traditionally, Romantic Warrior is not a dirt horse. He's more of a turfer, and a mile is his specialty. The B at a mile and an eighth on the dirt and facing against the horses like Forever Young just by himself. I don't see him shipping the race. This was the possible entries from the Horse Racing Nation, and my take is I think they're going to forego this race and just stay out in China and run the mile turf races. Not to saying he's scared of Forever Young, but I just don't think it doesn't make sense to me. He ran his eyeballs out and still got nailed by Forever Young, and there's no reason to bring him out for this race, in my opinion. Going over the next horse, I put my pages. By Aza. His best race by Aza was at the Pennsylvania Derby back in September. He ran his heart out, ran a good win. The field behind him wasn't that good, and it also includes Magnitude. And he's honestly the second tier 3-year-old. Everybody knows this. They think he might get a piece of pie because all the money they're putting out there, and I don't see it. I think my opinion is below best. He's below these horses, and I just don't see him making it. I think he's better off being in the United States. Let him kind of build up some muscle as a 4-year-old, and he might take off end of the year and into next year. And there's no reason to push his horse into the Saudi Cup, but they want a piece of that pie. But I think he's just going to get outrun. Next horse is Antiquarium. Antiquarium won the Jockey Club Gold Cup quite impressively. There was a lot of mishaps in that race. He went into the Breeders' Cup Classic, and he showed where I couldn't take him. I thought he was that he was overmatched against Forever Young, Policy of Sovereignty, but he got that spike of the fever, overclass against Fiercest and Sierra Leone. They're really asking a lot from this horse. He's got the right kind of kick to come from the flat mile and 1/8 and try to close on these horses, but I think honestly he's overmatched. Next horse, Bentamato, the Breeders' Cup Classic sprint winner. Again, this is they think he's going to come out for the money, and I just like last year they thought Book him down was going to come and run into the Saudi Cup at a mile 1/8. Horse is a great 6 furlongs horse. The distance race is way too far for this horse. At a mile, he's got a shot. At a mile 1/8, that extra furlongs, but he's going to cave in, especially with the other speed horses. So he's a throwout for me. Nisos after 2-win streak, and I honestly believe Bafford's going to bring him out. He's in peak form. He won the Breeders' Cup Mile by a nose over Citizen Bull. Then he beat Nevada Beach. Now the thing that you got to remember, ladies and gentlemen, these two horses are also that he lost to were both Bob Baffert horses. And you have the questions: horse's durability coming over to Saudi from California. And believe it or not, he's got great form. So you're going to bring him. You can bring him now because he's got great form. Is he going to give the other horses a run for their money for a mile, maybe a little over a mile? And I think he's going to fade at the last 16th of the race. Nevada Beach. Nevada Beach came in second to Nisos in the Lafitte Pink Eye. They think a lot about this horse. They ran him in the Breeders' Cup. Again, just like Antiquarium, I think he's overmatched. He's overmatched here because right now this is the best race out right now out of the United States, and not being a Breeders' Cup race. And I just think they're going for the money. He could come off the pace, but I just think he's just too slow against these better horses. He's running better horses, probably the best horses in the world right now. And I just don't see Nevada Beach getting a piece of the pie. Bishop's Bay. Why is he here is beyond my belief. They won the Cigar Mile. The connections were pushing this horse to this Saudi Cup, and it's a lot of money for this race, as we know. The connections are going to go, but Bishop's Bay is going to be challenged with Nisos on his front end, and they run Bentamato from the Breeders' Cup Sprint in this race is more speed, and there's also going to be mentioned another speed horse in this race, and Bishop's Bay is just runs against New Yorkers. He beat Micah at the last part. Micah failed to even show in the Pegasus Cup. Just ran this last Saturday, so I'm not taking Bishop's Bay at all. Disco Time is supposed to run. I don't see that happening. After that race that he ran, and also in the Pegasus Cup where he had the lead, and he just caved in. They went fast pace, but it wasn't tremendously fast. And Judgment Farm bringing this horse out back Cox, I think they're better off just bringing him lower in class, staying in the United States, and shooting for less tougher horses, kind of bring his spirits up after being 5 for 5 and winning, and just caving in the Pegasus Cup. I don't see him making this race either. Next horse is Harder Honor. Haven't seen this horse in a long time. It was one of the horses also that was very good in Europe and also in Dubai. And he's overmatched. I mean, honestly, I know the money's good, but if he runs, he's going to be up the odds. I'll give you my morning line after I do all my horses, but he's overmatched. Next horse is going Wilson's Tesoro. And Wilson's Tesoro is definitely not Yushpa Tesoro. He's out of the same owner, and he's got a decent clothes. He dances all the dances. He's been in different races. Dubai at a mile 1/4. Maybe that's a prep from for the Dubai Cup to be running in the Saudi Cup, because the Dubai Cup, as we know, is a mile 1/4, and the Saudi Cup is only a mile 1/8 on one turn, mile 1/8. So this might be a prep for this horse. He's decent, but I just think that he's a cut below. He's definitely not Yushpa Tesoro, who is a very good horse owned by the same owner, but he's only looking to be maybe 5th or 6th or even 7th against these monsters. So maybe if he could make me make 4th in the Superfecta, I'm not seeing a big race out of him. Micah Fight. As I put in my comments and respectfully saying, Micah Fight is dead on arrival. DOA, no way he's going to make this race. But I've been wrong before. I didn't think his show had a chance to win the Dubai Cup last year, and he won. So, I'm eating crow on that one still. But no way I'm taking Micah Fight. And the last horse I have is Ramjet. Also, just like Wilson Tesoro, runs a lot of these races, dance all the dances. He's going for the big money. I think he's sneaky. I believe this horse might run third and fourth in super if you want to go that. I honestly believe he's got a good shot to run third and fourth in the superfecta in the Saudi Cup. And that is the rundown for the possible entries for the 2026 Saudi Cup. Now let me give you my fair odds of what I believe how that pans out. And it's going to be pretty much but probably you'd be thinking how I pan out the odds. Magnitude, I got him at 15 to 1. Why 15 to 1? I think a lot of people still think that he's got natural good speed. He runs some big figures. Buyers, he did come second to Sovereignty, but a lot of horses came to second to Sovereignty as 3 girls. But a lot of people might put a lot of good faith in that one race where he came in second in the Pennsylvania Derby behind the horse that I mentioned, Baeza. So there it is. He might think he might pop a big fig. I look at this horse going at 15 to 1. I think he's going to go much higher. I'm thinking about 15 to 1 morning line, and it goes up to 20 to 25 to 1. Rattle and roll morning line. My predicted morning line will be 20 to 1. I think he's going to stabilize or get dropped down. The connections were pointing for this race. They were leaning to the Pegasus Cup at Gulfstream Park, but that speed bias. They're looking for more sand-based track in Saudi, and they're trying to bring him from behind. And it's again, they're bringing him out to different part. His ownership is also from this part of the country, so he's got a live shot. I'm in the exactas and trifectas. I think Ram Road's a live long shot. Elixir Cafe, 12 to 1. I think he'll skyrocket up. I gave him 12 to 1 before the Kentucky Derby of 2025. He had exceptional form, was winning. Had a lot of people out in Japan thinking it was the next version of Forever Young. Okay, understandable, but I think he'll skyrocket up. Journalism, I believe that he was the second, as everybody knows, second best 3 girl. I believe that Michael McCarthy just he had a long campaign. I mean, since the Santa Anita Derby, the Preakness, and running in the Pacific Classic, it was a gutsy move to run against older horses. So he was based out in California. They gave him a fresher after the Breeders' Cup. I think he was working impeccably on the track in Del Mar. It was really working well toward the Breeders' Cup. I would say he's going to move forward here. I like him for all the marbles. At 8 to 1, he might stay at 8 to 1, but I think he'll go up between 10 to 12 to 1 because all the money if he runs, as you already know, is going to go on Forever Young and also Romantic Warrior. My fair odds 8 to 1. I think he'll shoot back up. Next horse, Forever Young. His record speaks for itself, ladies and gentlemen. Winning the Saudi Cup, that was a courageous race. Third in the Dubai Cup. His numbers regress. I had him on upset alert that day, but I had the two wrong horses, and he could be beat. And he could be beat because he might not be. He might be a little bit tired, a little haggard. And this is his first race coming back from the Breeders' Cup. They really don't need this race. They're looking for the Breeders' Cup Classic again at 2026. But unfortunately, my morning line on him will be 6 to 5, dropping down. Also, Romantic Warrior, we're getting a spill on him. Came in second to Forever Young in last year's Saudi Cup, and I just think that he'll be at 5 to 2. On to next horses. Baeza, 15 to 1, and probably going up. Now, the thing with Baeza is he could pop a good number. He had a fig of one. He had a speed figure of 102 coming in second sovereignty. So you got to remember that as one big figure as a 3-year-old. Question marks. I just don't think he could handle the sand base. I think he'll be better off in the United States, out on the West Coast, or out east and improving. I think if you give this horse time to let him mature to a 4 or 5-year-old, Bay is going to be a little bit of a monster as he matures. And when Sovereignty and Forever Young disappear and go into retirement to stud, he's going to be a horse to be watching out for later down in his career. And Aquarium, 30 to 1, probably going up. Why they're bringing this horse? Like I said, this is possible entries. There's a lot of money in the purse. I just see him at 30-1. He's better on the East Coast. He does well at Aqueduct and Saratoga and Belmont. He's better out east running against his own kind. Ben Termato, the Breeders' Cup Sprint runner, I don't think he's going to run, but comparing how well he ran in the Breeders' Cup Sprint, believe it or not, I'm giving him 10-1, even going a mile 1/8. He's got the form. He's won his last 2 races. I don't think he's showing up for this race, but fair odds is 10-1. Nisos, 2 for 2, and he's in peak form. So if you're going to bring him out anywhere outside the United States, the time is now for all that money. 4-1, and stabilizing might even get more money from the United States backers. I think that's a good odds considering what he was dead favorite for the last 2 races. And I do mean dead favorites for the Breeders' Cup Mile and also in the Liffey Pink Eye. If you like this horse, you're really in a bandwagon with him at 4-1, but I don't know if he's going to stay healthy or not. Vicious Bay is overclassed, needs to run to his own kind again, and he won the Cigar Mile, which was a good race. Last year's Cigar Mile lot was also pointed for this race at Saudi Cup, never showed up, and I don't think he's overclassed. I mean, he barely beat Micah. Micah didn't even show up in the Pegasus Cup, 30-1 and floating up like a big balloon. Disco Time, if he does come out, which I certainly sit down after that last race where he threw a clunker, 30-1 also going up. Heart of Honor is overclassed, 50-1. Wilson Tesoro, he's not, like I said, he's not used to Tesoro, but he always seems to kind of grind it out in the last 1/8 of a mile. If you like him, if you're going to play supers, I wouldn't leave him out, but I only got him down in the 4th spot. He's going to be between 4th and 7th, but I don't know if they have the super high 5, but he would look good in the super high 5 bet around the 4th and 5th spot. I have him going off at 20-1 because the ownership knows about the tracks here. If this is going to be a prep for the Dubai Cup, there it is, but I think he's going to be about 20 to 25-1, 20 morning line. Micah is going to be, as I said, dead on arrival, 99-1, and maybe even higher than that. Ramjet, now he figures, in my opinion, he figures to come and hit the super. In fact, dances all the dances just like Wilson Tesoro, and the connections think that he has somewhat capability, considering the other horses and the connections, knowing this kind of track and this kind of environment. 30-1, maybe go down about 25 to them, but having a horse I use in the super, a horse I left out only because I'm not sure he's going to be running. But if he does, then watch out for his odds. But I think it'll be 6 and 5-1, and that's going to be Laurel River. Now, Laurel River freaked 2 years ago in the Dubai Cup with an unbelievable figure, but he's been really just been laid up so much, year and a half. And that race that Laurel River ran into the Dubai Cup 2 years ago just took that much out of him. He ran one race. I forgot the name of the race, but it was about a year ago, and he got caught for second. Now it's also Judgment Farms. I'm not sure what they're doing because they're thinking about having Laurel River run there with Disco Time. So one has to give. Either Disco Time does run, and they forget Laurel River and let Laurel River rest, or vice versa, run Laurel River off a layoff and rest Disco Time. In my opinion, the Laurel River does run in the Saudi Cup. He's not the Laurel River 2 years ago where he won at Dubai. The horse being laid up that long and trying to bring him in is just insane. And I think, honestly, they should have just retired the horse. I like the horse, and believe me, my eyes bugged out twice as well. That horse ran in 2024 at Dubai. So the reason I put him in is supposed to be a possible entry. So it was fair to put him back in there. Fair odds 6 to 10-1, maybe even higher. And the only reason I'm saying this, ladies and gentlemen, you know if this field is somewhat right, you're gonna really have to bring your double A game to beat Forever Young. And right now, the only horse right now I could see possibly to beat Forever Young, as you know, Sovereignty. Now, Sovereignty's connection going through Godolphin, which is interesting. And Bill Ma stated they're not shooting for the Dubai Cup. It's a mile and quarter. It'd be run in March. That's almost 5 months. So where are they going to put this horse for the first race? I'm not sure, but I'm thinking, as I stated in a couple of videos ago, I think that the ownership of Godolphin is going to keep Sovereignty in Kentucky. So I see the Stephen Foster late in June. I mean, that is a tremendously off, considering he just ran to Traverse back in late August. So you're almost talking about a year layoff. I mean, and the reason I mention this, ladies and gentlemen, he loves the track out there. It'd be a great prep. And they're going to figure, my opinion is they're going to run Sovereignty in the Foster, then either the Whitney, the Jockey Cup, Go Cup, and the D-Wing Classic, Lucas Classic. And I figured the Lucas Classic makes a lot of sense. Again, he does his better running at Churchill Downs than Lucas Classic at Churchill Downs. So they do have a plan. Looks like a 3-2 to a 2-horse race until they get him to the Breeders' Cup. Is that enough timing? I like to see 3 races. I always thought when horses run and getting back into form cycle, a lot of people say the 3rd race is their best in the form cycle. I like the 4th race. I think it really sharpens up the horse because I think sometimes the 3rd race into the cycle, they're still too amped. They're not ready to go. And with Sovereignty, he's a big horse. He's got that big, long stride, and they don't have to really rush him. So I'm thinking 4 races. But the way things are right now and how things are up and up between Godolphin trying to figure out what they're going to do with Sovereignty, I'm not sure. It's a kind of puzzling thing. Excuse me. Now, the thing that they could also do with Sovereignty is also retirement. You think that sounds crazy, just 1 horse of the year. So what is there to prove? The Breeders' Cup Classic? He did everything last year. So we'll see what happens with that. And ladies and gentlemen, as I know it's early morning, that's all I have for you today. And I'd like to thank you for listening to seeing this video early in the morning. This is James Ramos for At the Quarter Pole. We're winning in history. We're neck and neck. Have a good morning, ladies and gentlemen.